Hey everybody, good morning, good evening, or good night, whatever time you're tuning into today's episode. Welcome back to the Tattooed Christian Podcast. If you're listening to this episode on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, or subscribe. And if you're listening on other platforms, please leave a review and rate this podcast. Today's episode is the Q&A episode. I did a poll over on Instagram called Ask Me Anything, and you guys flooded my inbox with all of the questions that you wanted to ask. So let's jump right in. Our first question is, what is your salvation story? I was brought up in a Christian household. My parents were elders in our hometown church located in Louisiana. Their role was to exercise leadership over the entire ministry. I would say when I was about 10 or 11 years old, my parents divorced and my mom moved to Ohio. When that happened, I was no longer under home doctrine of the Bible. I would say all the way up until about I was 15. I started going to friends and families' churches. I immediately felt the pull of home and familiarity from their church in my spirit. I would go to their church on and off for a few years, and I would say this happened all the way up until I was in high school. Then I graduated and was no longer friends with them, the people that I attended the church with. Mostly because me and that friend, her and her brother and I broke up. So I was a little bit awkward to continue hanging with her. So by then I fell back in the world. After high school, I had my first child by my senior year. That's when I knew the walk I was choosing wasn't the walk I wanted to keep. After a second heartbreak, that's what truly sent me back into the arms of God. I rededicated my life back to Christ when I was around 19, 20 years old, and that's when I felt the fullness of Jesus. I would stumble, of course, and in between those times, I moved from state to state, thinking I just needed to relocate to get closer to God and get a fresh start. What I didn't notice was God was there all along. This went on for a few years until I got sick and tired of myself having one leg in the world and one leg out as a lukewarm Christian. The pull was always there, whether it was co-workers I worked with or it was even neighbors I would live next door to. Somehow we would end up becoming friends and I would attend their church. But I still felt like it wasn't sealed in yet. So by this time, I decided to get rebaptized, and from that point on, I can say I chose Jesus for me. Not because my parents, not because of an ex-boyfriend or a family member invited me to church. It was because a decision I knew I needed to take. It was time I trust the will God had for me with actions and follow that. It wasn't always easy, but God kept calling me. It was just up to me to accept the call. That is my salvation story. So the next question is, tell me about your relationship with the Lord. That was a really good question. If I can try to explain my relationship with me and God, I would say we have a never-ending relationship. Every day I come to Him, it feels like a new hope and a fresh zeal. Every day. Even on the days I feel lazy to come to Him, I still feel that He is right there for me, patient as ever. He's a comforter, a friend, a listener, an advisor. And on other days, I can feel Him being my Father, my protector, my provider. It's just always fresh, but never changing, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but He fills every area that I need Him to be unconditionally. The next question is, what role does prayer have in your life? Prayer in my life is a first priority. I say that because it does so many things. Not only is it that a two-way talking line between me and God, but that's how I get things resolved. It's not just my communication line that God has left here for us all, but prayer can boost my faith. It deepens my relationship with Him. It gives me direction. It helps me find peace. It softens my heart from hard feelings. And it helps me acknowledge His presence and refreshes my soul. I like that question. Let's see. The next one is, what have you been learning from the Word lately? Lately, I would say I have been learning about God's character. I've been really paying attention to how His emotions have been in the text lately. And I think about how His emotions was during a certain event or a certain blessing or a certain miracle. How He felt casting out, reviving, and even loss. I've been really paying attention to God's character and emotion when I read. I try to view myself in the text. Let's see. The next one, it says, what have you been praying about lately? Oh, that's easy. Lately, I've been praying about my family, someone that was special to me. I've been praying about tearing down strongholds and breaking curses. The next one is, do you have some practical advice concerning a woman's day-to-day life? Yes. Take one day at a time. Set a focused goal and direct your steps towards it. Every day, have grace for yourself. Take breaks. Pace yourself. Ask for help and ask God's strength. And I will also say, check in with yourself often. Stay in your own lane. Don't compare. Have gratitude. Show up for yourself. And remember, every single thing belongs to God. Let's see. What is your favorite hymn? That's the next question. At the moment, I will have to say... I've been liking this song called I Love It, remixed by Aaron Cole and Beam. I think that's how you say it. I have a link also of my favorite gospel songs in my bio on Instagram at _the Tattooed Christian. Follow me over there if you're not doing so already. Let's see. The next question is, what is your favorite verse from the Bible? There are so many. Okay, but for this season that I'm in, I will have to say mine's right now will be Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you future and a hope. The next question is, what book or books are you reading or have recently read? I've been reading Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. I've been reading She Means Business by Carrie Green. I finished Miles Monroe, Living with Purpose, What a Time to Be Alone by, I believe her name is Cedra Iguru. Soar by T.D. Jakes. Discerning the Voice of God by Priscilla Shirer. Sis Don't Settle by Judge Faith Jenkins. And Deliverance from Demonic Covenants and Curses by Reverend James Solomon. And Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Those are the books I have been reading lately or have recently read. Let's see. If you could rewind your life, is there anything you would change? That's a good one. No. Every moment and every person of my life, they meant something to me, even if I didn't understand it at that time. It helped me shape into who I am today, and it will continue to shape me for who I will become in the future. That was a good one. Let's see. The next one is, what are some of the ways a woman can bless her local church and help it to thrive? Volunteer. They can volunteer by maybe cleaning the church or helping with one of their gifts or their talents. You can host a group or be a part of one of those teams that they have. Churches are always looking for people to join these groups and find out where the members can serve others. The next one is, where do you live now? What is your home like? I currently live in Florida, and my home it's a vibe. It's fun, it's bright, and it's creative, and it's also peaceful. The next one is, what are some practical ways a woman can build her home? First, be gentle. Take breaks. Ask for help. Be creative in your home. Make sure it's inviting and clean in your home. Have extra things for backup like food, money, clothes, in case you have guests over, things like that. Be slow to speak and open to listen in your home. Be a tone setter. Having joy and light that radiates through the home. Bake your home in prayer. That's important. Anoint your walls. Anoint the kids' beds if you have any kids. Anoint their pillows with anointing oil. I would just say, just make sure your home is baked in with the Holy Spirit, and just make sure God is dwelling in your home. The next one is, what was your family like? Few words. My family is adventurous, strong, close, caring, loving, supportive, and most of all, goofy. Let's see. The next one is, how did your mother and father impact you the most? They have impacted my life in so many ways. I would say the greatest thing they ever did was introduce me to God. Even when I veered away from God growing up, they always directed me back to Jesus. And I appreciate them the most for that. I give them the utmost respect for loving me so much that they continuously direct me to someone who loves me even more. Jesus Christ. Let's see. The next one is, what are some practical ways we can love others? You can give by lending a hand to someone in need, listening to a person as they vent or express their day, send them nice, encouraging messages, telling them they are loved, and play a very special role in your life. You can also check up on them from time to time. You can ask them, can you pray for them in any way? Treating them to a meal. You can babysit their kids for a few hours. So many different things. Even taking the time out to write them a heartfelt letter. Letters are always cherished more than a text because it takes more time and mental concentration, unlike a text message. So I would say those are some practical ways we can show others that we love them. Let's see. The next one is, how can a woman grow in her love for the Lord? Let's see. I would say they can grow by first learning to know Him and His character. Learn to love what He likes and have a distaste for His dislikes. God is love, so be patient with God. Have hope in Him that when you call on Him, He will be there for you. Have faith in Him. Don't give up on Him. And be kind to the Lord and His feelings. As a woman, we rely on support and results. God shows up in every area that a woman needs to feel loved, especially emotionally and mentally. That alone would deepen your love for the Lord. Let's see. What are you passionate about? Anything with designing. Decor. I have a huge passion for creating ideas from scratch and watching them flourish and be complete. It brings me joy watching others enjoy what I create. which leads me to the next question. Someone asks, let's see, what brings you joy? Chocolate chip cookies, of course, being with my friends and family, being out in the nature, seeing God's beautiful creation all around us. So many things bring me joy. My kids, accomplishing a goal that I worked so hard for. Those are the few things that bring me joy. And the last question, how do I want others to remember me once I've passed from this life? That I was wise, that I was a go-getter, I was caring, I was giving, I was loving, I was different, creative, a great mother, and a woman who had strong faith in Jesus. Well, that is all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the Q&A. That was about 20 questions, I believe. And until next time, thanks for listening to The Tattooed Christian. So that concludes today's episode. If you're not doing so already, follow me over on Instagram at _The Tattooed Christian to see more behind the scenes content. Also, you can head over to my website. I have a lot of free resources at www.thetattooedchristian.com. Until next time, babes, thanks for listening to the Tattooed Christian Podcast.